happening, everybody? This is Johnny Monoxide. Welcome to the Ahnenerbe Hour, featuring the Paranormies. Tonight we've got with us Death, Greyfield Stray, Hazzard, and Adam Haidt. What's up, guys?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, fam.
Howdy.
Yeah, this is our first episode. This is a new podcast where we're going to talk about all kinds of cool stuff. The paranormal, the occult, the weird, the spoopy. Pretty much whatever. You know, you guys are all down with that, right?
Yeah, sounds good.
Nice. So let's go around the room, see what we got going on. What's up, Death?
Yeah, hey, people. I am a normal fag. I've never really had any spoopy experiences, but I'm here to shitpost and have fun. And
Right. Hazzard, what's happening, man?
Not much. This is Hazzard. I've dabbled in and out of the occult for a number of years. I suppose, just exploring for some sort of higher truth.
Yeah.
Classical story, really. I've never found what I could, identify as a truth, but I've seen some decently spooky shit today, so,
Nice. Greyfield, what's happening?
Hey man, I'm pretty good. I'm Greyfield Stray. Some of you may know me from my music, which was pretty good. I live in thank you. I live in Silent Hill, and fucking hell, I started on the paranormal thing. God, a few years ago. I started initially browsing X around about the time Operation Falcon Punch, I think, which was a big scavenger hunt stuff. So I came for the ARGs and sort of stayed for the spoopies, basically.
Nice. And Adam.
Aside from that, but
Oosh. Sorry, Gray.
Are you done?
okay. That's okay. I can, first episode, I got to get it wrong at some point. I was just gonna say, and I've had occasional spoopy shit happen every now and then. That was all. So yeah,
Adam,
we're good.
Go ahead.
Oh, hey, I'm Adam Haidt. In high school, I was pretty much just a pretty standard edge theist, angst theist, however you want to put it. But after graduating, I started to become a little more interested in matters of the spirit, I suppose. Tried being a Christian for about a year, and that didn't really work out. But I still have a lot of interest in general matters of the paranormal and the spirit, and just about how that component of human experience can enhance someone's life. And that's I don't have a whole lot of experience with too much spoopy stuff, but it's very interesting to me.
Nice. You said you had absolutely nothing to say. You said a lot of things. So that was good. I like it.
I'm a liar.
Yeah, and I'm...
there's an introduction, at least.
Yeah, and I'm Johnny Monoxide. You guys might know me from my show on the Right Stuff Radio, The Current Year Tonight.
Nobody will know you from that.
Nobody. Literally all 7 fans. Stop it. Stop it right now.
Do you mean the most popular show on TRS?
The 32nd most popular show.
out of 32.
Yeah, aren't there 31
some of
shows?
my other things that I've done around. I've been a hardcore conspiracy theorist in the past. I have loosened the tinfoil helmet a bit. And I have had many spoopy things happen to me. I have been involved in some weird stuff in the military. And this is pretty much... This is going to be fun, guys.
This is gonna be fun.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I agree.
what's that, Dad?
I'm in the bone zone.
Oh, you're in the bone zone.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
Oosh. All right. So, anybody want to share a spoopy story first?
Who wants to start? Shall I start with the dream story?
Yeah, do the dream story. I never got to hear the whole thing.
Okay. So, back when I was about 4 or 5 years old, this is just after I started school, I used to suffer from very bad night terrors. I used to have very, very strange... I call them dreams, but I still, to this day, believe that it wasn't. It's kind of strange. I'm going to sound a bit psycho by saying that, but there you go. But yeah, basically the dream would consist of I would be lying in bed and then suddenly completely paralyzed. I couldn't move at all. a loud sort of really sort of deep bassy music would start playing, and then out of the sky, this creature being thing, I can only describe it as like a carved wooden face. It was completely brown, big and round. It had these strange patterns all the way around its edge, and in the center, a very, very wicked looking face. So yeah, it was very, and what it would do is it would just float slowly into my room. It would go through the window. It wouldn't like smash through. It wouldn't go through an open window. It would just pass through the window, attach itself to my wall, and then it would basically start talking nonsense, and it referred to itself by the name Roro Lido. If you're not laughing already, feel free.
Roro Lido?
Roro Lido.
Yeah, I think it's one word, like Roro Lido or something like that.
So
that's...
You said it was wearing a mask, or its face was made of wood?
It's just a face. It's just a face.
The whole thing is a face.
Wow.
No, it's not. The whole thing isn't a face. It's like a face in the middle of... You ever seen one of those like Aztec sundials?
Yes.
Okay.
Imagine that, but carved in mahogany, and in the center, like a very evil, very maniacal. Well, not even maniacal. It's kind of like it looked like it was constantly laughing at me. It was very, very wicked looking. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's just the start of the speak. But anyway, so back in the day when I was at school, in the early days, we used to get visited by nurses. We had the knit nurse who would check to see if you had head lice. Nits is a British term for head lice, by the way, if you're interested. And they would just do regular checkups on us. And so one day, going out, and she noticed that I looked tired. I hadn't been sleeping very well for obvious reason. And I told the story, and she literally just snapped at me and saying, "Stop this, okay? I don't know who's put you up to it, but it's gone too far, okay? I've had like 10 of you tell me the same story over and over again. So at least 9 other children, if the 10 includes me, had the same dream."
That is pretty
Was it the same name every time?
Yeah. I spoke to... I met with one of the guys here whose name I won't mention, obviously. But yeah, we grew up and sort of became friends while we were in middle school, and yeah, we spoke about it, and he confirmed everything.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty messed up.
Was it also Roro Lido for him?
Yeah.
He knew the name before you said anything about it.
Yeah. I said... I said to him, we must have been little kids at the time. I don't remember the full conversation. So when I sort of got to know the lad, we were about 9, 10. And I said, do you remember the nurse? And I told him sorry, and he was like, "So I had that dream." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then obviously things went from there, and it was, yeah. We sort of joked about it as we grew up, because he briefly lived with me when we were about 22, 23. And yeah, it just... We used to sort of randomly just sort of... One thing we do is we would walk into a room, I'd turn the light off, just quickly say, "Rorito," and then turn it back on again. You know? You know, like you do when you've had a few beers, but yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
You know, I think it's... Yeah, call me crazy, but I think that as kids, we see a lot more shit than adults.
Well, there's the theory of the pineal gland, which, if you're into any of the esoteric stuff, basically is known as the third eye part of the brain. I'm not very deep into it. I'm sure there's someone who can explain it better than I can. So if I've offended anyone, deal with it. And basically,
we're going to offend a few people on the show. So.
Oh, hell yeah!
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. Just make sure we don't.
Normies, just hit pause at this point. Go find something better for your
pause.
time.
Just why are there normies listening to our show?
Right?
Because we're the Paranormies.
There are no normies listening. We're going for the autistic, like weird fucking 4chan people.
Yeah, we want the weirdo audience.
That's right.
That's good.
Audience, if you're not a weirdo, get out.
No, seriously, don't get out. The last.
Okay, yeah. Listen, like we are whores for
We literally just you literally just
hit
sent
that
away
motherfucking
2 of our 4 fans.
hit that motherfucking like button.
Right.
Subscribe.
Subscribe to our channel. Buy our T-shirts that we haven't made yet.
Donate.
Right.
Well, fuck.
We need shekels, boy.
Begging for donations.
Oh,
Jesus Christ.
and we have a shekels reference already.
You're welcome. I ruined the show.
You ruined it. God damn
But
it.
back on track, I think that definitely children. I mean, I'm not even sure if it's the pineal gland calcification, but I think kids definitely fucking see shit that.
Well, I'll explain it to
Others
you.
don't.
They're wizards. They haven't ever they haven't ever had the sex, so they don't.
Whoa,
Don't,
they're not developed. Okay.
Don't
Let's
do
not get into
that.
meaning
Don't do that.
like that.
No, the kids.
Remember,
Okay.
the
Okay.
path to
I won't make it. I
enlightenment
won't
is
make it
Monster
too.
Girls.
Well, no, the whole thing with the children and the pineal gland and everything, I agree with that 100% because I remember being a kid and having the most vivid imagination. My mom and I will talk about it every now and then, and she'll be like, "Do you remember when you did this weird thing?" And I was like, I'll think about it, and vaguely I remember, but then I'll remember the memory of me like having this imaginary friend or this thing that I saw, or like at nighttime I could always see things in the shadows and whatever, but the older I get, the more it went away, and I don't know if that's
a Candle Cove vibe off that one.
What's that?
Do you not know the Candle Cove creepypasta? It was like a puppet show thing that was broadcast on TV, but the kids were only watching static on TV.
No.
Oh yeah, something like that.
No.
Yeah.
But I remember going to my grandparents' house, which was really old. The house was old. And
The grandparents were too.
Well, yes. Yeah, thank you for that Captain Obvious. And staying in the room with my brother, and I would wake him up. I would always stay up a lot later than him, and lay there awake in the dark, scared because I could feel like something, I could see or feel or whatever. And I would wake him up and ask him if he could feel it. Can you see that, or there's something over there in the corner. And there never was, but I'm pretty sure, now that as a grown-up, there was never anything there. You're just a weird kid. No, there really was stuff. And I think that kids are connected to the esoteric more than adults. And I don't know if that's just a part of growing up. And it's like the whole Peter Pan, you just don't believe anymore or whatever. You don't believe in Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, all that. Or if you're actually...
Say that.
I think
You
it's
say
more of
that.
a defense mechanism than anything else.
Maybe.
Yeah.
There's things around you that you see, that you deal with, you have some minor interactions with that, all the older people are telling you, that's not really there. Science says everything else, etc. And so your brain just shuts it all out.
Well, it should do, yes. But do you remember that I told you guys about my nyctophobia?
Your what phobia?
Go on. I
Fear of the dark.
I have a severe fear of the dark.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Fear of the dark.
The worst
has
Iron Maiden impression ever.
I know, right?
I was trying to do a good one.
Oh, okay.
10 out of 10 would
good.
sell out Wembley. Basically, yeah, I've got a very severe. I'm put it this way: I wouldn't actually be in this room recording with you if I didn't have the lamp on here. Because when it's pitch black, I freeze. I mean, I full on almost catatonic freeze. I can't function. I just go into full panic mode. And I'm pretty sure it stems from the dreams I had as a youngster, obviously, like I said before. But it just, there's that part of my imagination that I don't think ever died. I think in some cases it can sort of stick with you.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I think,
do you sleep with the light on?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Okay.
Nothing wrong with that.
No?
No, I'm a coward. I accept this.
It's okay. I mean, I know people. I know a lot of grown people that can't sleep in the dark. I don't know if it's because of that or whatever, but yeah, I know people that are like that. I used to have such I remember things when I was a kid, like just I mean, not even at night, just like playing in the woods, and having an imagination of things going on around you. I think that's something that, like Hazzard, you said that maybe you grow into a defense mechanism where you don't see it anymore.
You shut it away.
Yeah.
It's things that you're not. Maybe it's. I think partially it's because you're getting told that you're just imagining it. But I think there's also a part of us that realizes this is something I'm not exactly meant to see. It's something that's not right or not normal, at least.
Right.
And I think we just close it off.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, because a big part of growing up is sort of learning what things matter and what things don't. And, there's so many things that we probably, as we have experienced a lot, we sort of ignore in terms of normal activity. But I think that could definitely extend to these paranormal things, because when you're kids, you've never seen that stuff before, right? It's a new experience to you.
Right.
But part of the growing up process is there's so much that happens in life that you have to discard some things, and the things that don't have that immediate effect on your life tend to get
would you
thrown by the
consider yourself
wayside.
an empiricist?
Could you define that?
Oh, empiricist, someone who will only believe what they see.
Well, I guess in the sense that, well, like, I work in the scientific community, so in the sense of, like, I wouldn't say I knew something unless I knew at least someone else had observed it. But
he going to college, getting him that STEM degree.
I don't
turn his life around.
There's so much that we put on faith anyway that I don't think being an empiricist is really in a very strict sense. You
really can't be
like,
one.
like it's like fucking flat earthers,
where,
right?
Hold on. What about
Have you ever seen around Earth?
Empiricism basically devolves into it's one of those things where if you take empiricism to its most logical conclusion, you have to realize that eventually, when you break down everything according to the laws as you can observe them, eventually you hit a point where you cannot understand the phenomenon you see. You can observe its effects on everything, but you just can't explain it past that. I mean, it's
funny you mention that, Hazzard, because, I mean, I don't know if you guys have read any of Stephen Hawking's books.
I've read a little bit. I mean, it's
right.
just like, at the most fundamental level, you take a look at, the most basic, most elementary component forces. I mean, without any sort of spiritual approaches, your weak nuclear attractive force, your and I mean,
Kimmy, come back from the other side.
You just disappeared.
It's one of those. Oh, can you hear me?
You disappeared there for a second.
Yeah, talk into the microphone.
I am.
Illuminati got him for a second there.
If you think about gravity.
God damn it.
God damn it.
A fundamental force that, we can observe its effects. We can say that, mass causes mass. But beyond that, we're ever going to truly understand.
You need to get a new mic.
You either need to get a new mic or a better internet connection.
I think what Hazzard was saying was that there's a difference between modeling a phenomenon, like, for example, gravity or these weak nuclear forces, that you can observe it, you can model it, you can look at it and say, like, oh, X does Y, but there reaches a point when you can no longer regress in terms of finding an origin of something. Like, the origin of gravity is mass. The origin of mass is, well, they say, like, oh, I think I could be wrong, but I think they say, like, the Higgs boson is supposed to be this thing that gives mass to everything else, and it's like, well, okay, well, where did the Higgs boson come from? And you can get into a little bit of fallacious territory in terms of this infinite regression type thing, but it's a very good point I think he was making, that at some point you just have to say that we don't know the why.
I believe it.
It would be better if he hadn't made that point through, seance communication as opposed to...
Oosh.
At some point, you just have to push the "I believe" button.
Yes.
Yeah. They used to tell us when I was in the Navy. Just push the "I believe" button.
I believe or I want to believe.
Yeah,
that's the question.
Well, exactly. I think it ends up being more "I want to believe" because there are, I guess, and they show it in the movies where, like, the grown up sees the kid do the thing and he remembers as a kid, like, he'll have his memory of whatever it is, whether it's like seeing Santa Claus or, you know what I mean? Yeah. As a grown up, you have that memory, like, oh, I remember doing this as a child, or whatever. Or I remember, I could fly, or, you know what I mean, or whatever. But yeah, and as we still kind of have that. And you have to. I think it's more you have to want to believe than you actually do believe it. You know.
And I don't think that takes anything away from the value of the belief.
No, not at all.
You get these like really angst theist type people who think that it's like, oh well, and it's like you just have a need to have some kind of authority. Yeah, you guys all have heard the bullshit before.
Yes,
but I don't think there's anything. It doesn't take away from the value at all to just believe something because you want to believe it, because it gives a meaning to your life and it lets you interface and understand and really come to terms with the experiences that you have in life.
Yeah. It's well, I mean, whether it's occult or paranormal or whatever, religion or whatever it is that you want to believe in, there are some people who they need that in their whatever it is, that they want to believe in, because it does give them that structure and whatever.
Yeah. Absolutely, I'm one of those people.
Oh, are you? So what is it you believe in? What are you the tooth fairy guy, or what's your deal?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, I tried very, very hard actually to be a Christian, and eventually at some point I realized I cared more about my race than I did my God. But that's another thing.
Yeah, no, I was in the same boat. So,
but the point I guess I was making,
discount belief in a higher power, though.
Absolutely, I don't think I will ever consider myself to be an atheist. And it is a difficult thing to be like, because you have these people that'll be really nitpicky and they'll think they're detonating Christian argumentation or like apologism, where they'll be like, oh, do you really believe that the whole earth was flooded and all this stuff? And it's like, that doesn't fucking matter.
Right. We're not talking about all the allegories right now. We're talking about the theory of God and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think atheism in itself is such a closed-minded sort of worldview. It borders on nihilism.
It really is. It works. No,
I don't think it is inherently, but it tends to be with the sort of people that actually embrace
Gnostic atheism, where people are like, I am 100% positive there is no God, no creator, no nothing, is just like the stupidest fucking thing ever.
Well, I don't think there's anybody that actually considers themselves a Gnostic atheist. The problem is, like, you got people who seem to not think that they're Gnostic atheists, who basically are.
Mm-hmm. Well, my theory on God is that the human race is abandoned. I think that we're like, I think I said it to you before, I think we're like an abandoned save file in a really bad game of Sims. It's like, it's not even an active save file right now. They've moved on to bigger and better things. We're just a test run.
That's one of those things that actually makes so much sense. It's really kind of fucking terrible.
Yeah, right.
Like, he just went, okay, this isn't working out the way I was hoping, and couldn't even be bothered to fucking destroy it.
Yeah. Didn't even delete us.
Didn't even delete it.
Said fuck it. Issues.
Yeah, totally. Just deactivated his account and was like, "Fuck it, I'm out." Like, but that's the other thing with with Gnostic atheism and nihilism, I think they go really well together, and not in a good way, if you know what I mean. Like they
feed back into one.
They do. That's the what I was thinking. They feed back into each other. Where like the nihilist, I don't care if I fucking die, and because there's no God anyway, like
it gets to the point where it's just this mopey fucking spiral of fucking faggotry.
It really is. Yeah. It really.
God damn it, Mama! I wonder where piercings to work.
Yeah. And that's really the bottom line, is they want to smoke weed and have sex with anybody they want, because it doesn't matter anyways, dude. There's no fucking God, like whatever,
It gets to
atheism leads to poop dick, is what you're saying.
Atheism leads to, excuse me?
It gets to the point where you have to wonder: Are you an atheist because you actually don't believe, or is it you're an atheist because you want to believe there's no one to hold you accountable for your actions?
I remember I was having a conversation like this a long time ago with a buddy of mine when I was like a kind of like fedora atheist type, and I was like, yeah, I don't believe any of these other people around me are atheists because of intellectual reasons. They are doing it because of social and political and emotional.
It's always a social.
It has nothing to do with rationality.
Yeah.
And I just want to plug real quick what Hazzard I think said about people that it's not because they're not atheists because they don't believe in God, but because they just want to be edgy or whatever.
Yeah.
Alex McNabb wrote a really great article for TRS called "The God Haters." That is it lays it out in a very succinct way that sort of paints that picture of modern atheism very well. I'd recommend everybody go read that. It's pretty short.
It's a good article.
And it's a fantastic article.
Isn't he an atheist, though?
The God Haters. Yes.
Yes.
But he makes the case between the difference between a philosophical atheist and a modern faggot.
Right. The modern faggot, fedora-wearing, katana-wielding.
Sorry, just double-checking. That was McNabb, did you say?
Hey, there was nothing wrong with katanas.
I didn't.
You know what? I actually find that katanas are highly underrated in modern D20 systems.
Oh God, they're so stupid. I hate katanas. Shut up about this autism.
So, Adam, was it you who posted that picture of the katana controller?
Probably. Like if it's got a katana.
One down.
I didn't mean to say the word. I'm sorry. Okay.
You just sent us off on the autism spiral.
I know.
I may have. It was the most impractical control ever, but I saw it and I thought, you know what? It's so impractical. I kind of want one, and I think I tracked one down on eBay.
You gotta play it like
the God Haters is also a book, but I don't know anything about that.
That sounds like some stupid fucking Dawkins book.
Okay, so you have your Gnostic atheists who are your modern fedora, like vaping, right?
They wouldn't acknowledge themselves as such, but they're that's what they are.
Neckbeard, like probably
fedora,
libertarian.
People that think they're very, very intelligent.
Right. Then you have like, I'm not an atheist. I believe in the great big something, but I also believe in aliens. So I'm not opposed to the fact that, you know, maybe we are some sort of weird mutation of whatever was evolving on this planet, and then the aliens came here, and that became God. You know, and they used us to you know what I mean? And that's where we got our concept of God. The Ahnenerbe
You watched
theory.
Ancient Aliens, didn't you?
Oh, are you kidding me? I used to watch the shit out of that show.
I just realized our merchandise should totally fucking be monogrammed tinfoil hats.
How would you monogram tinfoil though? Like literally.
I don't fucking know. We'll figure out.
We'll just make them shiny silver hats. Shiny silver hats. Just shiny.
It'll be an
hats.
occult way. We'll do it by magic.
Right. It'll be.
Ooh, that's a great point.
We'll meme these hats into existence. Okay. So all right.
Screw up some tinfoil, but like write the names on with permanent marker, throw it in, job done.
You
Instant shekels.
forgot the fucking sigils, and you know you may have to sacrifice a child to it.
We'll see. Like it's cost of productions, you know, like libertarianism, Austrian economics, magic, all that stuff.
Look,
right.
I know what children go for in China. We can still do this on a budget.
Oh. So anyway, Johnny, you were saying?
Yeah. So like, I mean, the whole concept of God, anyways. Where does that come from throughout like history? You know, I mean,
it's everywhere. Yeah,
it's everywhere, right? There was always like even before there was. I mean, if you want to say that there were what?
I mean, you can. It's before written record.
Yeah, there was always it's the whole, and you know, you can get back into that stupid fucking that what is it, the Zeitgeist documentary or whatever, that where they start off with. Well, no, they start out with the concept of religion started with, you know, dark and light. At night, the bad things came and, you know, ate you while you were sleeping. In daytime, the sun came out. You know, the sun makes the plants grow. That's where like the black and light, the dark and light, the whatever. You know, the concept of good and evil. That's their theory.
It goes into, you know. You really have to ask yourself, just because you're assigning meaning to phenomenon, does that, if you understand the phenomenon, does that mean there's no higher meaning?
Right, right. But and okay, so where do you go when you die was had to be one of the first questions. You know, and it was explaining the question. That's where religion kind of came out of, was explaining the questions that nobody had answers for, and. You know, and throughout history, there's always been, and I'm not going to, you know, and here's where the tinfoil comes out, but the ancient aliens, you brought that up, Gray, the ancient aliens thing, but like, why are there these higher powers being shown in 4,000-year-old carvings? And, you know, and like, I understand that some of it's, you know, most of that is bullshit. It's like, you know, it's art interpreted the wrong way, but like some of it isn't.
Every fucking myth has a bit of truth at its core.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's funny you mentioned where do you go or die, because I'm going to use this to give my late grandmother a plug. Bless her. She once, I actually asked her as a kid, I said, Nan, where do you go when you die? And she said, well, no, in my life, probably Swansea.
Oh.
Is that a British joke? I didn't get.
I have.
It's in Wales.
Ah.
Oh.
It's that bit of shit on the end of it. You can't miss it.
Got you.
You don't want to go there.
Welsh fans.
I don't get your Welsh jokes. I'm sorry. You gotta.
So what is that? If you were
Greyfield, you just lost us all our audience.
you insinuating that we're only going to be listened to by the Welsh? Because if so, I don't want to do this podcast.
Right?
We're gonna need to bring some sheep with us if we want the Welsh.
No, I'm
audience.
saying that I'm saying that nobody gets your fucking British jokes.
It's okay. He's British. You know, we're American.
he's basically
something.
It's kind of like, hey, I say shit you don't understand, but it's in a funny accent, so listen anyway.
And that's the thing with Americans will laugh at British shit just because it sounds funny.
I said it before. My accent entertains you. Listen.
Yes. I'm sorry, Hazzard. What did you say?
I mean, it's one of those things where, honestly, I think we should probably devote an entire episode to it. You know, everybody's got their about the afterlife, etc. You know, I
completely agree with all that mess.
Also, that's an episode in and of itself.
We should dedicate an entire episode to the origins of religion. Is that what you said?
No. Talking about afterlives, etc.
Oh, afterlives. Oh, definitely. I think that's a good one.
Half the fucking episode could be quantum immortality.
Well, yeah, I think we've all got our own theories on what the afterlife is.
Yeah.
So.
So, anyways, we have our God theory, right? That's what we're doing. We're doing God theory now.
Well, if we had other spooky stories to share.
Yeah, we do have other spooky stories because Gray started off.
What do you mean? Where's you guys? Come on.
I've got this. This is Hazzard. This took place a number of years ago. I was fucking around down on Galveston with a couple of friends. And if you actually know the history of Galveston, the Great Storm hit. Galveston's pretty fucking spooky because it was a massive hurricane right around the turn of the century, and basically it wiped out fucking everything. There was no ability.
Okay, Kim, Hazzard, rather. You got a credit card, right?
Yes.
Okay, you go on Amazon right now. You buy yourself a blue snowball, Sam.
I don't have any money on it. Hold up.
You got to do something because I cannot hear anything you were saying.
I don't think.
Damn. Hold up.
Wait.
Let me change my fucking input. Let me see if I can't use my laptop.
If he sends it to himself, does the curse still apply?
No, because I sent mine to myself and I'm here.
Okay.
I'm
right
just
now,
saying,
I've got like a million
could
different
you
mics,
stop being abducted for like every 5 minutes? That's what I'm saying.
It sounds like you're leaning away from your mic.
It doesn't. Yeah. No, to me it sounds like the signal is just breaking up, but it doesn't have that robot. It doesn't have that robot thing that Skype does all the time.
Testing.
Right.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
I mean, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. It sounds fine for now, but it always sounds fine for now until it doesn't.
Good thing we're editing this, isn't it?
Well, I'm going to edit that part out. So.
Yeah, I was about to say, now that this section's going to be edited out. Anyways.
So start your story over. Start your story
3,
over.
2, 1. Okay, so this story took place 9-10 years ago. It was down on Galveston Island. And if you know the history of Galveston, you know that some fucked up shit has gone down. There was a massive hurricane around the turn of the century that basically just killed a fuck ton of people, and there was no way to get any sort of emergency services, anything. So basically, people just fucking lay around dying for like the next 2 fucking weeks. Island's known for being fucking haunted. So anyways, I was down there with a couple of friends, and it's nighttime, and we're just fucking around, and all of a sudden, one of my friends just stops talking, turns around, and starts walking out into the fucking ocean. We're trying to talk to him. He doesn't say anything, so we start fucking following him. He starts walking out on the beach, and I remember this very clearly. I don't hold it, but I do remember taking a look at the beach. Tide had just gone out, swept everything nice clean, fresh sand everywhere, and I'm looking because, I want to make sure it's night, nobody else is there, I don't have to worry about anything. So we follow him out down onto the beach, and he fucking gets out water, gets about 2-3 feet into the water, and just fucking collapses. So we run out, get him back up onto his feet, and he starts telling us a story about, and at first I'm not really paying much attention to it, because I figure it's just him fucking. It sounds like your classic sailor story. Man went out to sea, and his fiancée had gotten news that he'd been lost at sea, ended up killing himself. Well, turns out that while the ship had been lost at sea, he didn't die. He eventually got picked up by it, managed to find his way back home, and found out that his wife, the fiancée, had killed himself, and ended up taking his own life as well. So, it sounds like shit. Just a story people tell.
You broke up again.
Yeah, we just lost the conclusion of that story.
Yeah, it was good up until right now.
Yeah.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Honestly, it still sounds like to me like it's doing the same thing more or less the whole time.
Turn around and fucking, they start walking back. I think, and there's only 3 of us. There are 4 fucking sets of footprints leading out to the sea. And like I said, tide had just gone out. It was clean fucking sink.
Now that is spoopy.
That's kind of So an extra set of footprints?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which
did the sailor he killed himself by just walking out into the water?
Drowned himself, yeah.
Drowning yourself is like a hardcore way to do it.
That's not a fun way to die. It really is. I would almost rather burn to death than than drown.
I'd choose drowning over burning to death. That's brutal.
I'd sooner die under a barrage of dicks than drown. That's such a shitty way to die.
I think we have people that can arrange that for you.
Please don't.
Very
I don't know, man. I know a few guys.
It's super alt-right,
There's probably 120 guys that would be willing to do that for you, and only 2 or 3 of them would charge.
That's true. Well, I mean, if you're gonna kill him, why charge?
Yeah.
That's kind of payment enough.
Seems shitty to take my money if you're just gonna fucking dick me to death,
Right.
Well, I mean, you're not gonna need it afterwards.
Oh my god. Okay, so spoopy stories. Adam, you said you don't have one, really, do you?
I don't have a whole lot of paranormal experiences. I mean, the only thing that when you asked about that immediately came to mind, which isn't a terribly strong one, but I was with a good friend of mine when I was younger, maybe 8 or 9. He was my next door neighbor, and we were really great friends. We hung out like every day, standard thing when you're a kid. And I was over at his place. Yeah, standard friend party. And we were playing just dumb shit video games. I think Burnout was the one we happened to be playing for the Xbox. I'm sure somebody out there knows what that is.
I know it.
I love Burnout.
And it was at night. It was pretty late. And we were just kind of like, we'd played a bunch and we were taking a break and like jumping on his bed or some dumb shit kids do. And so I look out his window and I look up into the sky, and this flashing light appeared. It was like red and green, and just drifted across the sky, and that got my attention. Now, of course, red and green is kind of an unusual color. It's probably just some kind of aircraft, right? And I was looking at that, but then after it passed, I was like, hey, check that out. That looks cool. We were watching outside, and we saw this light flash and just like appear. It wasn't a bright light. It wasn't huge. It looked a little bit bigger than a star. And we saw it appear, and then it streaked across the sky really fast and stopped immediately. And then another one appeared a little bit away and streaked up to it. And they were very close to each other for a little bit. And then they both at the same time just blasted upward and out of sight. And of course we were like 8 or 9 years old, so our immediate thought was, holy shit, we just saw aliens, of course, because what else could that be, right? Mm-hmm. and we went and we told his like sister or whatever, something like that, we didn't really interact with anything that was going on out there, but it was a really strange thing to see, and it stuck with me since. That's one of the strongest memories I have from living in that area. But who knows? Maybe it was just a kid's imagination. But it was definitely, I've never seen any phenomena like that.
That's the thing about kids when you see stuff. Is it something you're actually seeing? Is it something you're seeing because you're a kid and no grown-up can see it, kind of a thing? Like, do you see the little elves behind the bookshelf? Or, you know what I mean? That whole... that was weird, but yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I may... I know
is it raining? Gray, is it raining on you right now?
Yeah, I was about to say, I sent you a message during like Adam's story about like the mad background noise you had when you moved.
Yeah, sorry, I'm in the middle of a thunderstorm. It's pretty crazy. As I say, you mentioned the whole UFO thing. My uncle Alan, he was once walking home from work, and he claims that one sort of flew past him fairly low. And my Aunt Sylvie, his wife, actually 100% says that he was burnt, like, down half of his body.
Oh, my.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
Intense.
It's pretty intense.
Which half was it?
I believe the left. I can't remember the story very well, sorry. Wow. But I thought it was worth mentioning because you brought the subject of UFOs up,
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway.
Well, speaking of UFOs, when I was, I want to say 8, maybe 7. Anyway, so one night we're driving home, and my brother's passed out in the back seat. He's 6, and I'm in the front seat with my mom, and I'm kind of nodding off and whatever. And out of nowhere, like out of the left side of the car, the driver's side, I remember looking through my mom's driver's side window. I saw a green and red light like pop up out of nowhere in the middle of this big fucking field.
Also, at 6, your brother was taller than you.
My brother's always been taller than me. Can we not?
Yeah,
right now? Can we not?
Yeah, it is obligatory. I'm sorry.
All right.
Somebody had to do it.
His brother Luigi.
So the red and green lights pop up out of the center of the middle of this big field, and they were spinning. And it was red and green, and then it was red, green, blue, and yellow, and it just started spinning where like there was a row of red and green on the top and on the bottom, and there was in the center there was like a band of yellow and red, and they were spinning in opposite directions. So it was like the flying disc sort of thing with the lights that go around the rim type deal. We pulled over, and she got out, and I got out, and I like stood on the hood of the car, and we watched this thing for 5 or 6 minutes, and it was big from the distance. I don't remember how far it was away, but it wasn't really far. It was a couple 100 yards maybe, and all of a sudden, like it was there for like 15, 20 seconds in one spot, and then it boom, and it was over another 200 yards in like literally no time at all. Like I blinked and it was there. And it was there for another 10 seconds or so, and then it took off and just gone. Like went from
up to the sky, or like just disappeared.
Just disappeared at like a, I don't want to say up to the sky, but towards the horizon at a slight angle. You know what I mean? Yeah, it wasn't like it shot straight up like in the movies or whatever, or at like a 45 degree or whatever. It was at like maybe a 5 to 7 degree angle from the ground. And it just, like, fast, gone.
Well, I mean, the thing is, if you have, just talking just actual, orbital physics, if you have the ability to overcome air resistance, etc., or if you had the technology to do so, you're fucking, the most efficient way is the fucking lower angles to build up more speed for orbital momentum more quick.
The what angles?
The lower angles.
Right, the lower,
it's just
exactly.
one of those things where we have to go straight up and then begin a gravity turn because, we have to
you can't, right.
resistance.
It's better to go at a low angle because, by the time you get far enough away, you already have enough inertia to overcome the gravity.
Yeah. Exactly.
And the thing is, it was so fast. And the best part of this story is, like, every 10 years or so, like, I'll bust my mom's balls about it. I'm like, hey, Mom, remember the time we saw the UFO? And she'll look at me like, we're at church. Like, don't tell these people we saw a UFO. Like, she saw it as much as I did. You know, like, we both had this experience. And, like, we talked about it occasionally, but, like, she won't, because my mom's my mother's side of the family is very born-again Christian, believes everything the King James Version of the Bible says verbatim, those kind of Christians. So, like, aliens
don't factor in there.
Well, they do, but they must be, like, they're either angels or demons, you know. So, and religion, you know, and aliens, they all go together, you know. Like, technically, isn't an angel an alien? Like, it's not of this earth, so wouldn't it technically be an alien? What?
I think the difference would be between the natural and the supernatural in that case.
So which would be natural?
It's one of those things
angels?
where, you know, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.
I'm sorry, say again?
Arthur Clarke, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.
To the unlearned, yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, yeah. So who's to say, again, ancient aliens theory, who's to say that God or gods or the Anunnaki or whatever that weren't actually aliens? And I'm of the belief that if this is all there is in the universe, then the universe sold itself very short and settled for very little. You know what I mean?
Johnny,
what's that?
You mentioned the Anunnaki.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mind giving some background for myself and the audience? A little bit about what that is?
The Anunnaki are the, I believe it was the Incans that talked about them, and I don't know, it was the Mayans, I'm sorry, the Mayans, and the Anunnaki were the sky gods that came down, gave them the calendar, and all their technology. They've been mentioned, I mean, that's one name for them. The Nephilim, I believe, is another name for them.
Ooh, yes, that's in Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the
Nephilim?
scions of, well, those are the scions of basically they're the sons and daughters of angels that bred with humans.
Yes.
But eventually they started out as great heroes, etc. But eventually they became more and more decadent until they were a fucking plague upon the earth.
Yes. So
just like every...
where we heard that one, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder where that came from. From what book? The Old Testament, which comes from the Torah, which is from the Judaic religion. It's weird how they always they have a lot of.
Wait, are we like pretending we aren't anti-Semites or something?
We pretending we aren't anti-Semites? Come on. I don't think
that's the focus of the podcast.
No, we're not just anti-Semites. We're anti-Semites who believe in aliens. No,
of course. Look, you know, one of these days we're gonna have to get around to the Nazi moon base on the other side.
Yeah, I always wondered. I always like, why do they just show, like, you know, we've shot stuff past the moon? Take a picture.
Yeah. Right.
You know, why can't we see the other side of the moon? And then they did, and.
Well, honestly, I think it's one of those things where they never did anything with it, really, because the technology at the time, it would have been behind the moon is out of fucking radio reception.
Yeah. You know, I mean...
Well, plus, everything that NASA publishes is, you know, doctored anyway.
Right.
Doesn't have to be, like, government approved before they release it.
Mm-hmm. And NASA
was
founded by the Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, actually, it was.
All those Germans
came over.
Braun and all the other ones.
Yeah. Came over from Project Paperclip. And speaking of tinfoil,
did somebody take their hat off? Because
no, I sleep with mine on. I don't.
How do you keep it from?
It's fused into his skull.
At this point,
how do you keep it from crinkling?
I don't. Actually, the more crinkles, the better it deflects.
There's more surface area. There's more surface area when it's crinkled.
Yep.
How do you keep it from making the crinkling sound right next to your ear? That's getting fucking.
Yeah. I've actually gone one step further. What I've done is I've created like a Crusader helmet out of tinfoil. So So that way I can keep up the shitlording alongside the
from aliens and from Jews.
You deuce
and
volt
Muslims
all the way to bed.
Oh,
So say again all the way to bed.
I said you deuce volt all the way to bed.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Nice.
Little wooden sword, up the hill.
So,
wooden sword, tinfoil helmet. Such a little kid. I like it.
Up the wooden hill to Bedfordshire, as it were.
Right.
You don't get that.
But yeah, okay, so back to the original story there. The Nazi moon project. Jesus Christ, that's like further than the Nazi Bell project, which is actually another one of those things that we never got a chance to see due to Project Paperclip.
Do you want to give a brief background to that?
Yeah. That's the Nazi time travel / Stargate theory. I don't have that. That was Scott Taylor's job, and he didn't.
You had one job.
On another episode.
We'll do that. We'll do that at another time. We're gonna do, guys. We're gonna do a lot of Nazi occultism. Hence,
I can imagine.
Well, of course.
Mostly because we're Nazis, but like, hey.
Because we're Nazis. Not because we're Nazis. None of us are German, and none of us are National German Socialists.
Right.
However, Hitler did nothing wrong. Okay.
We're gonna get showed from YouTube. Oh God.
Hey, Chris Cantwell is not showing on
Yeah,
YouTube.
if Christopher Cantwell doesn't get showed on YouTube, then we're not going to get showed. And he talks about throwing people out of helicopters all the time.
Oh yeah.
Point.
What?
I said point.
Yeah. So we're good. But yeah, so I mean, all of us have had some sort of experience that we can't explain, or like not necessarily explain.
I actually have one that has to do with aliens as well.
Really? You have another one?
Well,
okay.
Well, Kimmy, before you do that, does Def have a story? Because
yeah, we never.
I really don't.
Yep.
Okay, then carry on.
He's just deaf, and he's just here, as the spoopy boy. So yeah, there you go.
This is actually the Grim fucking Reaper. He actually comes in and shit posts with us.
If you listen to this podcast, I'm coming for you.
Yeah, he's got a very stressful job. He has to get the stress out.
Stressful, actually. I smoke 420 blazes, and I just kind of come and be like, "Hey, bro, it's your time, man."
Oosh, that was all broken up. That sounded like somebody killed R2D2 just now.
Oh man, that was actually funny. I'm disappointed because that was actually a funny joke I just made.
Look, you did the 420 blaze it, faggot. I kill you.
Maybe he'll give you another.
It was a great joke, but did you have to say it in binary?
That's good.
I mean, how else would I say it?
Right.
Well,
no, because you're a gent guy. It's binary.
I'm not a gent guy.
He's
gonna come get me next. He's gonna come get me next. God damn it.
Yeah, because you just marked your own. You just
wrote, you gonna die.
You go and die.
This one time, I'm fucking and I can't guarantee this was aliens, but it was pretty fucking spoopy, and it matches.
Well, I don't believe it, because if you started with this one time I was fucking, nah.
Oh. Anyways,
maybe 100 aliens. You find 1 or 2, 3 in the morning.
I was driving with a group of friends, and I took a wrong turn somewhere. We start going off in a different direction, and I just I'm like, and I should say we're going straight, and I took a wrong turn, and
I would love to hear this story, Kim, but you're breaking up again.
Oh my fucking god. Testing. Can you hear now?
No, it's awful.
Oh,
no, it's awful. It seems that like.
All right, I can fill it in. So he said he took a wrong turn at Albuquerque, and.
Okay, Bugs Bunny.
Testing. Can you hear me now?
Yes, but as soon as you start talking again, it's going to go away. I swear to God. Try it.
It fades very quickly.
Okay, so I was driving with some friends, and we took a wrong turn, but everything's a fucking adventure. So we keep driving along down this path, and it's one I haven't been on. So we keep driving, and all of a sudden, I feel like I'm waking up, coming out of the fucking day. I fucking jerk to attention all of a sudden. I fucking ask my friend, hey, you okay, man? Make sure. And he seems like he's coming out of a daze. And then all of a sudden, I'm still driving, but all of a sudden, I'm back at fucking the place where I made the wrong turn. And it looped around anything, nothing like that. Not like I turned anything, took a couple turns. I took a long turn, went straight, off about a 90-degree angle, suddenly zoned out, and then I went back to
that. You guys, really?
Somebody's got to do it.
Somebody has to.
We gotta keep things snappy.
Hazzard, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so I heard parts of your story. So do it again, please. I don't think anybody else got it. So, like, if we're going to have this in...
No, I heard it. I think the summary is that you took a wrong turn, we're driving for a while, suddenly everyone in the car snapped to attention as if they were waking up, and you were at the turn that you took incorrectly. Is that right?
Yes, and it's not like it looped around or
How did you get that? You heard the whole thing?
I heard, yeah.
So, I'm not getting it, then.
Or it was really shitty.
Oh, okay, but you're just paying better attention than I am.
I guess my speakers are higher, and I'm not as old.
I have earphones in my ears, and they're at like 80% volume, and I'm not deaf.
No, Johnny, that's a hearing aid.
I hear everybody just fine, except for Hazzard. It's weird. Adam, I have you at like 80. I have Gray at like 80, and Death is like 75, and Hazzard's like at like 22.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It's weird.
Whew.
It's like a reversal of all our weights.
Blown the fuck
How much does everyone here weigh?
I'm like 145.
Yeah.
180, but
I'm assuming
I am a wrestler, so...
I'm sitting around 165.
I'm around 180, but I'm also super stocky. So.
And you're older, so
stocky, and by that he means really short.
No, well, yeah, but I'm also like people are like, "Wow, you're a lot bigger. You're not like a regular short person. I'm thick."
And Kimmy, how many tons were you?
in metric.
No, imperial.
Imperial? Okay.
No, I've actually been losing weight ever since I got on all my proper medication. I'm down to 225.
Nice.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Oh, that's good job.
Yeah, I've got to drop. I've got to drop a couple myself. I keep going. I did the keto diet that everybody's all raging about. You eat mayonnaise and avocados and sausage, and yeah, it's great.
Just no carbs.
No carbs whatsoever.
Hypoglycemia. So
Pen approved.
What's that? Pen approved. Yeah, it's great for your skin apparently.
Mayonnaise and sausage.
God damn it! God damn it! But like, it's great until you stop doing it. The one day you're like, I want toast, so you eat it.
Yeah.
You make yourself a British toast sandwich, and all of a sudden,
your body's out of its ketosis state.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, the 15 pounds you just lost came back on with that one sandwich. Like, I don't get it.
Even though it only weighed 4 pounds.
If you're feeling particularly devilish, just add Marmite to that British toast sandwich. You will feel amazing.
So I got a question for you: is the toast on the outside or is the toast in the center?
Toast in the center.
So it's raw bread. I mean bread. So it's bread, toast, bread.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
What the hell is wrong with
And can I ask you a question? Why the fuck is that a thing?
Is it hyperborean?
It's very hyperborean. No. Okay, I can tell you the story behind it. Basically, there was I can sort of half say it. There was a famous book that the title eludes me. It was written by a housewife on how to live thriftily, and she came up with the idea of the bread sandwich and the toast sandwich.
Wait, there's a bread sandwich, which is just like, what is that?
3 slices of bread. That's it.
Jesus fucking Christ.
That's just
I have made mayonnaise sandwiches where it's 2 slices of bread with mayonnaise in the middle. I have made mayonnaise and cheese. I've had, like that's a sandwich.
Ketchup sandwich.
Ketchup sandwich. Stop it.
But basically, this book's content became common knowledge.
But putting more bread in between the bread.
Yeah,
doesn't that just cost
more? You might
more?
as well just eat a single slice of bread.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Hazzard. Thank you. That was my whole thing. It's like, why don't they just eat the 3 pieces of bread 1 piece at a time? Like, do you have to have the 2 pieces in that center? Is it something about the dimensions of biting into that depth of bread? Like,
no, you'd have to fill out 3 separate bread slice licenses for that.
Oh boy, and don't even get me started on the application of the butter knife.
Yeah. Well, it's on the warning label, so.
Do you have to have
I thought you guys weren't allowed to have butter knives over there.
And, like, flashing lights while you're operating a butter knife?
Well, I don't like to brag, but I'm a bit of a maverick and regularly spread my toast with a butter knife.
That you pull out from behind the painting safe. Yeah.
Fuck the police, is what I'm saying.
All cops
are
bastards.
Constables over there.
Oh, constable. To be fair, I shouldn't do that. My best friend is a police officer, so if he's listening, hello.
He's not.
No.
Nobody's listening.
So how can we go from toast to ghost? Well, we'll find out right after this break. This book lays down a simple code of conduct. Do what thou wilt, be the whole of the law. So what do you guys think about the occult? Death?
Pretty death metal, man.
No? Gray?
Yeah, like the idea of manipulation of reality, be it your own or inadvertently.
Adam?
Yeah, I think the occult is a great thing. Science is not the only way to understand the world.
I like that. Hazzard?
I think it's one of those things where it's interesting to look back at occult traditions throughout various societies.
Yeah, there's been a lot of societies that have used occult, and occult really just means one thing. It just means hidden. It doesn't necessarily mean black magic or scary or whatever. It's just, or ritualistic child sacrifice. But,
Oy vey.
Sometimes it does. But no, like occult. Okay, so the reading I was just reading out of the Book of the Law by Aleister Crowley, who is pretty much well known for being what is known as the father of the rock and roll era, like, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Do what thou wilt, be the whole of the law. Basically nihilism. He was known for having crazy parties, sex magic, and he did a lot of crazy shit. But his
he was a maverick.
He was a maverick. He was one of the original mavericks. I mean, and a lot of people are into his readings and writings, and whether it's, and a lot of them are musicians. I mean, people know the Ozzy Osbourne song "Mr. Crowley." He was on the cover of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band by the Beatles.
Yep.
He's in the upper, I believe he's in the upper left-hand corner.
It's one of those things also where he often gets
always the left-hand path.
Though,
yeah. What's that?
Because he was a proponent of, might makes right, etc. Strength of force, etc. But at the same time, he also went on to basically be like, don't be a cunt to other people, because otherwise, if you start throwing around shows of power, shows of force, everybody's going to get in on it, and you're not going to like where that eventually goes.
Right. It was basically keep it to yourself, but still be more powerful than everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah. Kind of like, you don't reveal your power level to normies.
I do, and it's because I have autism.
I do all the time by accident. People go, "Wow, you're mean." Like, depending on what we're talking about, like. But yeah, you just don't. You
Guys, I've just found Crowley.
Get to know me better, baby. You have no idea how mean I am.
Oh shit!
What about Crowley? Did somebody say Crowley and Jews?
Yes.
Go ahead, Gray.
I found a quote attributed to Aleister Crowley, his view on Jews. Crowley published expressions of anti-Semitism. Sorry, Crowley's published expressions of anti-Semitism were disturbing enough to later editors of his work than one of them, Israel Regardie, attempted to suppress them. So he literally was. They attempted to shut him down.
Oh,
interesting, because
that proves that he was magic.
They tried to shut him down, but they couldn't.
Yeah, they couldn't. I mean,
no, they
so they co-opted him.
No,
I think yes. I mean, they use him these days to spread just degeneracy and filth.
Nihilism, degeneracy, and nihilism and filth.
Exactly. He was more about have the power to do whatever you want to, gain that power, have that ability. But that doesn't mean just go do fucking everything you can think of at once, just because.
He also went on to talk about human sacrifices, claiming that they were still today practiced by the Jews of Eastern Europe.
Oy vey, we can't have that.
We can't now. Shut it down. No.
These blood libels.
There's blood libels all over the place. Somebody call my cousin Shmoody and clean it up.
Quickly, someone make a movie about it.
Yeah, exactly. We'll make a movie about it. We'll call them vampires.
Yeah.
Economic
and
vampires.
we'll make it's all goy, there's so many kinds. We'll make it the most popular genre of movies ever created.
Isn't it hilarious how they've basically taken most of the negative stereotypes about themselves and managed to turn a fucking profit off of it?
Well, wouldn't you, if you had a deficiency that you could exploit?
Point.
You know?
Yeah, good point.
I mean, they're like, we're gonna.
But I don't know how to exploit Muslims.
You know, I wish I could just, take a clove of garlic, fucking froth into my bank and get them to waive the fucking overdraft.
Yeah, that was the one thing I always wondered. It was like, why garlic?
Garlic is
I should correct you.
What?
It's not garlic. It's garlic flowers.
Garlic flowers.
Really?
Yeah, it is. This is a bit of something that got lost in translation with the movies. The original anti-vampire, at least as I understand it from Eastern European law, was garlic flowers that was meant to protect against vampires.
Huh.
Isn't that once you get into the fucking original Romanian translations where basically like a vampire was not necessarily an entity but could also be an object?
Yeah, I think I've heard of the idea of objects that drain the spirit, if it's that sort of thing.
There were a lot of different things. There was like axes that, like an axe could be a vampire, and that meant if you tried to use it, you'd end up swinging it. It would draw blood.
Well, if you look at things like hauntings, you'll find that people have claimed that when they go into the houses that are supposedly haunted, that they feel drained, they feel energyless, and it makes them feel old, malnourished, and sick.
Where were you when you learned that we live in the D&D universe?
Well, don't forget the archons, the spiritual vampires.
Yeah,
there's another. Take it to another level of vampirism, not just the blood libel and all of that, but the archons who are feasting on our bad vibes. The archons are the dark energy aliens. They are the ones who are really in control. They rule the reptilians or whatever. I don't remember exactly
what's
the hierarchy.
What's the pyramid hierarchy? Is it the Jews control us, and then the reptilians control the Jews, and
the archons
control the reptilians?
The archons are kind of like the archons are like the overseers of everything. The archons feast on bad energy. So the more bad vibes that are coming off the planet, the more the archons are happy. It's that whole. They break it down. They break it down.
Jews are still somehow at the top too.
Yeah, and they break it down throughout Hollywood, you have like that movie, The Dark Crystal, where they have the Skeksis are feasting on the essence of the younglings. They're sucking the energy out of people. And it turns
awfully long noses, those Skeksis. Just saying.
Yeah, the Skek and they all talk like this, kind of. Yeah, it's all very Jewy. Henson was anti-Semitic, wasn't he?
He was.
Who wasn't?
He was accused of it a couple of times, but I don't think it ever.
He was accused of it, which is weird. Which is like, what did they do? They co-opted his show and turned it into the most paused thing you can show children.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things where everybody who's actually interacted with a Jew ever turns into a fucking anti-Semite.
Unless they buy you off first.
Right, unless you're the ultimate Shabbos Goy.
Not enough fucking money for him, though.
Yeah, I know. I never got my $2. Are we gonna do this every episode? We're gonna bring it back to the Jews all the time because, hey, everybody,
Jews, the Jews control everything.
Check it out, and everybody's leaving the barbecue again because Jews. Thanks, Johnny. Appreciate that. Way to go. Way to fuck up this barbecue.
Well, when we eventually start getting into fucking, unless we're talking about, strictly just fucking aliens, anytime we go to the fucking occult, human sacrifices, everything, it's gonna fucking go back to the Jews.
It's weird.
Well, I said to Kimmy when we were researching this, I said, no matter what I do, I end up at Jew.
I'm
not trying.
No, you're not. This is why you're not trying.
This is why we drink.
And that's the liquid Jew, so we're back again.
There's that too. Here you
go. The liquid Jew is soda.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the carbonated liquid Jew. The liquid
God
Jew.
Damn it, you guys and your listen.
Carbonated liquid Jew is like a mouthful. Fuck you.
I think we need to have an entire episode on the state of Jewish matter.
Yeah, like what is Jewish?
The herbal Jew. The carbonated Jew.
There's
The electric Jew.
So many.
The
So
interactive
what's
Jew.
the solid Jew? That's what I want to know.
Gold, maybe?
Gold.
Yeah, gold. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
We are getting show.
What's the gaseous Jew?
Zyklon B.
Is that smoke coming from a crematorium?
Yes.
I didn't want to get kicked off of YouTube on our first episode, but
We're gonna get kicked off of YouTube eventually, no matter what happens.
Well, anyway, so
Gas the
we've
guy
shared
straight forward.
some spoopy stories,
Yep.
and we've delved into a lot of different occult topics. So Johnny, you said you want to talk about later the Nazi moon base, right?
yes.
And
I
at
want to do
some
an episode
point,
on that. Well, there's so many occultic Nazi National Socialist
I think
things.
a lot of it is propaganda, but
And that's where I want to, and that's what I want to, I want to dispel with the notion that we know everything that's going on with them, because we don't,
But the thing is also, it is true, like verifiably true, that originally the Ahnenerbe, who we take our name from, is it originally was investigations into Dutch heritage, blood purity, etc. But it is actually true that who was it, Heinrich Himmler, that co-opted it and turned it to occultism and that sort of stuff. I mean, that is actually outright verifiably true, not exclusively propaganda. They did have dabblings in.
And here's the thing: is I also want, we have the Nazi Bell Project. There's the Nazi Giza pyramid theory. There's because they were very interested. I mean, like the fact that George Lucas made Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, where the Germans were interested in the Egyptian stuff and the Ark of the Covenant and all the stuff in the pyramids and whatnot. That's not true. Like, they were very interested in all that. So. I think we have several episodes on that.
That would be under Rommel's jurisdiction, wouldn't it? The Desert Fox.
A lot of it, yeah. And
I'm just saying, in order to build pyramids, all they needed was a lot of whips.
Because slavery gets shit done.
Yes, it does.
So I'm sorry, Adam. You were saying, yes, we had the Nazi, the Bell Project, the
Was that Die Glock?
The Die Glock, yeah. Then we have the Giza thing. We have the fact that Adolf Hitler was a member of the Theosophical Society, Madame Blavatsky.
Was it Himmler that was a member of the Thule Society?
I believe they both were.
Ah.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, Adolf Hitler was very into the occult. And a lot of world leaders are into the occult, which is something that, most normies are like, well, I'm not into any of that sort of weird stuff. But leaders of the world are. Interesting to me. Just the whole point that you know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean, it could be one of those things where, even if there isn't a whole lot of truth to it, what's the harm in fucking doing it?
Exactly. And the Freemasons are just a men's club.
Yeah, they pretty much are.
And the the Belizean Grove are the women's equivalent, right?
Yes.
No. That's
the Belizean Grove, and then there's the Belizean Grove, the Bohemian Grove. That's another episode right there. We're revealing too much of our hand.
Yes.
Okay.
It's gonna get show it.
No, it's gonna. No, we got a lot of stuff. We got a lot of stuff to get into. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. There used to be like one of the things that I used to listen to a lot a few years ago was Red Ice Radio, and they did a lot of this kind of stuff. And a lot of people don't listen to that anymore because there's a lot more important things. But I think that this is still something worth talking about because it's fun. It's fun to me.
Absolutely. I love throwing on old episodes of Red Ice.
Oh yeah. Every fucking myth, every fucking legend, every urban rumor, they all fucking start with some kernel of truth.
Exactly. There's some truth, and if eventually we can get to the kernels of truth in these stories, it'll be fun. Even if we don't, get some of these guys on who've written books about them and whatever, and we'll take it from here.
Awesome.
Yeah,
it's not just about finding the kernel of truth, but the actual processes involved, the experiences of trying to find it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a journey.
And hopefully none of us get the Giorgio Solacus hair going on. So, you know.
Well, we've already had a spooping. If Greyfield would like to tell about it.
Oh, you want me to tell you about the spooping?
Yes.
Okay, so
you don't say that name again.
Yeah, I'm a bit apprehensive.
There is a name which, if you understand, you know, that we talk about Jews a lot and human sacrifice, you should be able to figure out what the name is.
Yes.
And okay, Greyfield had a bit of a spooping. There is a name that is understandably recalcitrant to say, but if you look up specifically, since we are going to be talking about Jews, human sacrifice, and a specific entity, you should be able to figure out what it is. And I typed out the name to Greyfield and as soon as I typed it out, why don't you carry on?
Okay, so myself and Hazzard, we were doing a bit of research into the show just to give us a few ideas of subjects. We came up with quite a few. Anyway, we were looking to one particular entity. Hazzard wrote the name. Immediately upon pressing enter and it popping up on my screen, my palm started to bleed.
Legit stigmata.
Legit stigmata. I literally have a mark on my hand now. I'll have to put a picture up somewhere for
I think you
people
should. We
to
should
see
use that for our first cover photo. Is your stigmata hand?
Yeah.
Font, stigmata.
I don't know, Death. You're like 9 miles away from your mic.
I know. I'm laying on the floor.
Okay, cool. Seems legit. What are you doing on the floor?
He's killing somebody apparently.
Okay, cool.
So you had stigmata.
Kind of. It's like a single scratch. It goes horizontal across my hand, and then on the back, I woke up the next day, and there was one on the back of my hand going vertical.
Is it like, do they share the same center?
Yeah, kind of. They're at an angle from where I'm sort of looking at it, but yeah, it's if you were to straighten it up, it would be, yeah.
Wow, weird.
Yeah, it was very strange. I mean, initially I thought maybe I'd caught my hand on something, but I was sitting in my bed at the time. That's like the softest place in the room. There are no edges for me to catch anything on.
Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty messed up.
Now that is spoopy.
That is, actually, that's really, yeah. That's one. I know you guys were talking about it the other day, and I wasn't really paying it. It was on in the chat. I wasn't really paying attention because I was working, but that's kind of crazy to me, man.
Given the entity involved and the sigildry and symbolism, I find the fact that it, makes a fucking cross actually kind of really got me.
Yeah, it wasn't a very pleasant experience, I'll say that much. Yeah, that's why I'm a little reticent. But I mean, we're gonna have to say the name eventually. We'll wait till the episode on it. But yeah, it's
the first time I tried to say the name, I bit my tongue. Somebody else tried to say it who hasn't said it yet.
I haven't.
Write it down. Have Adam try to say it.
Type it out in the chat.
Do it. I'm laying on the floor. Otherwise, I would.
Yes, you're 97 feet away from.
That name. Wow. All right.
Moloch. It didn't do anything for me.
Moloch?
Yeah. This one.
Fuck.
Moloch.
Well,
Moloch is the
modernization. Originally, it can be spelled Moloch or Molech.
Yeah, Molech.
Or if you're British,
is the one I recognize. Yeah, Molech.
Moloch. I've seen it associated with the Bohemian Grove.
Yes.
Yeah. Same with the Belizean Grove, which is their female counterpart. But not to go too much into detail, but because that's probably going to be the next episode or two. But basically, once a year, they make an annual trip to bumfuck nowhere, Central America, into an area known for human sacrifices, to the site of a historical site of human child sacrifice.
It was like 10,000 bones they found there, wasn't it? It was insane.
Yeah, and then there's
1,500 different children.
Mm-hmm.
That's for later, though, boys and girls.
Yeah, we don't want to overdo it.
Yeah, no. I like it so far, guys. I think we've got a lot of subject matter to talk about.
This was tons of fun.
This is
It
actually
really fucking was.
You're all crazy.
That's
wearing
shit-faced.
tinfoil with your pants on your head. For Christ's
everybody
sake.
that's terminally
Shit-faced,
ill,
look.
enjoy your one more fucking life.
I'm waiting for
Good-
Moloch to fuck me over.
Good luck in your last day of life, Adam.
Don't answer the door. It's not a pizza.
Also, don't answer Skype calls for me.
All right,
Okay.
and here with the creepypasta of the week is Death.
I was in the back, folding pizza boxes like a good little corporate bitch. The counter girl came back with a delivery slip. She tells me the customer sounded weird on the phone, kind of like he was talking through a fan or through his hands, and then he was almost like gurgling. My DC experience instantly makes me think crackhead, although around here it is way more likely to be some benzo freak or painkiller addict. I'm automatically assuming some weird interaction is gonna occur. I look at his address and see it as kind of in bumblefuck. I'm a little mad because I don't want to drive that far, but fuck it. It's the weirdest ticket I've ever seen. Guy ordered a large pizza with anchovies, ground beef, ham, sausage, pepperoni, etc. Literally $15 worth of extras. I go ask the counter girl if it's right. She says she thinks so. She couldn't really make it out though, so she said she did her best. She's like 16, so I cut her some slack. Assume she was daydreaming and called the number back. The phone rings 5, 10, 20, 30 times. No answer. I hang up, call again. The phone goes right to, "The number you have dialed does not have a voicemail box that has been set up yet. Goodbye." Okay then. The manager decides to just make the pizza as ordered and proceed from there. I deliver a pizza to a hilariously obese and blackout drunk couple who invited me in for drinks, but I don't drink or smoke when I work. I had hoped somebody else took the weird pizza. Surprise, nobody did. It's my turn. I begrudgingly take the pizza and get in my car. I enter the address into my phone. It's on a side street adjacent to a park locals call Open Space, which despite the name, is about 500 acres of straight woods. It's about 25 minutes away, basically the edge of our range. I put on some dubstep, go ahead and judge me, and crank my turbo Subi, judge me more, out to this road. If you're not from a rural area, this can be hard to explain. Winter in the woods is scary. There is never a single sound, ever. Unless there's something larger than a cat walking around, it's you and dead silence. I finally get to the address. There are a few houses on the street, but they sit on probably 5 acres each, so they're spaced out a fair amount. Looking for number 1134, I pass a 1130, then a long stretch of nothing till a 1144. What the hell? I just want to get this over with and get the next delivery without getting stabbed by some pillhead over a fucking pizza. I call the number again. Ring, ring. It stops ringing. There's no sound, but instead kind of like a buzzing or a humming. It's hooked up to my car stereo and it's getting louder and louder until I just hang up because I don't want to ruin my speakers. Windows are fogging up because at this point I'm pulled over between the two houses. Right when I roll the windows down, I am overcome by this odor of decaying trash like driving through Newark, New Jersey. Fucking gross, so I put the car in first and I start pulling towards the next house. At the end of the driveway there's a stanchion with a light on top. I'm gonna pull into this house and knock and ask if maybe they gave the wrong number over the phone. Makes sense for a pillhead. I'm probably 100 feet away when I see someone step out of the darkness into the light at the bottom of the driveway. Good, it's the fucker that ordered. I was expecting this guy to be all over the fucking place, leaning over and being fucked up. Guy isn't that fucked. Stopped the car about 10 feet from him. He's wearing a black coat that looks 3 times too big for him, even though he's probably only got 5 inches on me. I don't look at him at first. While I get the pizza out of the car and get his ticket and change, I talk to him. "Hey sir, sorry about the wait and the calls, this is pretty far out there." No response. Realize I should be watching him considering the signs. The smell is still pretty pungent, but I know it's not trash day. I get the pizza on the roof of my car. He is standing there under the light on the opposite side of my car, so I got out of my driver's seat and went to the driver rear to get the pizza. I put the pizza on the roof of the driver rear. The guy's probably 10 feet away from passenger rear. I finally pay enough attention to get a good look at him. Giant, tall, no shoes, ripped up jeans, stains everywhere. Big jacket is mentioned. I look at his face, sunken eyes. Can't even see them with the light. Getting real sketched out because this guy hasn't moved or said a word. Stop the process and just stare at the guy. He's just staring at me with those freaky fucking eyes. His head is sort of bobbing side to side, but not in any fluid sense at all. Kind of like a car door, like how it stops at halfway open, then you give it another shove and it stops it all the way open. I watch his head do this in no real pattern for probably 10 seconds. Starting to get really uneasy between the stench and the head thing and the eyes and the not fucking answering. I stand frozen and so does he. Without breaking eye contact, I take my phone out of my pocket and hold it level with the roof so I can look at the guy and my phone at the same time. I go to recent calls and call the number for the guy. The phone starts ringing, but I hear no phone anywhere. Then, out of the quiet of the woods, I hear, faintly, so faintly, a fucking cell phone ringing back in there maybe 50 or 100 yards away. This is me kicking myself for not getting my CC yet. This is me almost shitting myself. The guy's just standing there still doing the head thing, but I swear I see that fucker smile. I finally get the courage to speak. Can you please come get this? Also, I think you may have dropped your phone where you were hiding a body or whatever in the woods. I nervously laugh, still thinking maybe this guy dug too deep into the prescription bottle or found some PCP or some shit. I see his mouth open, head still bobbing, feet planted to the ground. He makes a sort of low, guttural, quick grunt, then a high grunt, then another low. They are sort of soft, kind of like someone clearing their throat. I've shut the rear passenger door at this point and I'm ready to book it to the driver's seat if I got to. Just as I go to call that phone again, I hear words. The phone's not mine. The pause between the and phone's not was way too long. Phone's not literally sounded like one word. Mine came out an octave higher. The phone's not mine. My mind is DEFCON 5, like just full panic attack. My knees are weak. I'm literally about to peace out. I push the pizza to the far side of the roof away from me. Finally muster out, "Sir, you're freaking me the fuck out. I have a 45 and less than $20 on me. Please come take this so I can leave." When I say this, the head bobbing stops. His eyes are dark and burning a hole through my skull. He opens his mouth again. It was his. What? I say, stunned. It was his. The phone was his. The guy comes toward the car. Not a step, but like one huge muscle spasm that propels him forward. The phone was his, he repeats. I'm on the verge of tears at this point. Standing next to the open driver's side, pizza is on the roof passenger rear door. Once again, the guy jerk jumps closer to the car. The phone is not his anymore. I blubber wordless and then gathering man balls, I scream, "I'm gonna call the fucking cops and blow your drug addict head off if you don't get the fuck out of here." I see the fucker smile this creepy fucking smile, and without moving his mouth, I hear him say in a completely different voice, a voice I've never heard before, "Go away! Stop following me! I will call the police!" In one big jerky motion, the thing reaches forward, takes the pizza off the top of the car and places a couple round things that I later identify as quarters on the roof, surrounded by dark liquid that spreads over the roof. I don't even think, I just get in the car and peel out down the road, leaving the hot sleeve for the pizza, leaving the shit on the roof, don't even close the door all the way. I go down the road at about 80 for a quarter mile and then pull a U-turn because I don't want to get even more lost with the psycho here. I whip down the road past the place where he was. Nothing. I finally get to the end of the road. There's a stop sign to merge with the main road. Look right to make sure it's clear, look left. This thing's face is 12 inches from my own when I turn. Tactically shit myself. Peel down the road. I finally make it back to the pizza place. I'm shaking like bloody hell. I smoke a joint just to calm me down, which I never do when I'm working. I walk in the front door of the pizza place. "Hey Anon, that guy at the open space house just called back. He said you forgot some food, but he only ordered the pizza, right? He said come back, I don't know." I start crying. I look at my phone, which has been thrown through the car with my driving. 14 fucking missed calls from that number. I'm literally in tears. All the voicemails are empty except the last one. All I can hear is ragged breathing and those low grunts. Fucking bawling my eyes out in front of this hot-ass counter girl, and I don't even give a fuck. I sit for 10 minutes and calm down. I remember the change on the roof. I go out to the car and turn on my flashlight. The roof of my car was covered in the most viscous, weird liquid, but it smells like blood, and I throw up immediately. In the panel gap between my trunk and the end of my rear window, I find the quarters. Covered in the same maple syrup, thick goop blood shit, and stuck to it are soft little chunks of what I can only imagine is tissue. I go to open my car and my blood turns to fucking ice. There is a single line of blood going from the front quarter panel to the driver's side door. The fucking thing tried to open my motherfucking door when it was next to me at the stop sign. I tactically cry and poop my pants more. I go back in and tell the counter girl to try and call the number again. She tries over and over and over, but the phone goes right to voicemail. The next morning, I give the number to my uncle, who is a police captain a few towns over. He says the number is from a burner phone, paid in cash, basically untraceable, and it appeared to be off now. I sleep with the lights on now.
Wow, that was creepy as fuck. All right, well, so that's a lot of stuff that we're going to be able to talk about. I mean, I'd like to say that there's an unlimited amount of subject matter here.
Oh, yeah, you can go as wild as you like, really, with it.
Right? I mean, you can get...
honestly, just recording-wise, I think we had a good first episode.
I think I agree. Good. I like it.
Except for my shitty fucking setup, which I need a goddamn proper mic.
Hey, it doesn't even seem to, like... It's so weird. I can't even explain what the fuck is happening with it.
It's bad. It's bad, but we'll fix it. You know, hey, it's our first episode.
Absolutely.
I mean, like, there are shows that were bad for 15, 16 episodes until
you mean all of the episodes or anything.
You know what I mean? Yeah, no, I mean, like,
episodes.
There's I don't know. There was like they did
80
like
parts of 1488 episodes.
They did like 1488 parts of one episode. Like, they weren't good for a while, but now they're really good. They're like right behind the best show on their whole fucking network.
Here's a very good up-and-coming podcast just beneath them that it seemed quite young and fresh. I think that might overtake them soon.
Oosh.
Yeah.
We'll see. We shall see. You know, hey. You know, it doesn't matter because, you know, we're all just doing our part to spread the wealth of information that we have. Whether it's memes or shit posting or occultism or anti-Semitism. Who cares? Let's get it out there.
It's all fun.
It's all fun.
Yeah, fun and games, bro.
Fun and games, and thank God for the First Amendment.
Yeah. That face with no
right.
First Amendment.
Amen. Yeah, I was about to
say. Yeah, our token Britbong's like, fuck.
It's okay. I believe he can make it over here soon enough.
They turned another chippy
anymore, but
into
somebody can.
There's another falafel hut. What the fuck?
Falafel Hut.
That is still my favorite joke about that.
Why would you say Falafel Hut and not just be like Falafel House?
There is a kebab hut near me.
Because that.
Are you like legit? There's a kebab hut.
There's a kebab hut.
No, because that's the reason why Hazzard, he told me that, and that's why I didn't say that. Because I just there's a kebab hut. Because the first time I made the falafel hut joke, he told me that. But yeah, no, the falafel house. Yeah, the only people that would get that are people that know what's scattered, smothered, covered, chunked, and spread, and fucked. And
I used to work there.
Oh God, why do they have locks on those doors? Because they're never shut. Like, you can go in there and get grits and red eye gravy at any time of the day.
Dude, you want to know how to make
it's
people
delicious.
Suffer? Go into a fucking Waffle House with $5 in quarters. Go to the jukebox and cue up the fucking Waffle House theme song like 30 times.
Question: what is grits?
It's
potato hominy, something like that.
Hominy. It's like polenta.
I don't know. I feel like we're getting a little off topic at the conclusion here.
Yeah, we are. We got way off topic because we went full on falafel hut. Waffle House.
Yeah.
All right, so we're I guess this is gonna be it for the first one. Yeah.
I guess so.
Once again, we are the Paranormies, the Ahnenerbe Hour. I'm Johnny Monoxide. Tonight we had Greyfield Stray, we have Death, we have Hazzard, and Adam Haidt. You guys want to add anything to the end here?
It's been a pleasure shitposting
race war now.
One at a time, please. One at a time. Okay, we'll start. We'll go backwards. We'll go Adam first.
All right. Well, I had a great time. Lots of interesting things to discuss, and I'm really looking forward to really digging into those topics we briefly mentioned earlier.
Nice. Hazzard?
Well, it's been fun, and it's been my white privilege shitposting with you guys tonight.
All right. Mr. Death, sir?
Woo!
And can't even really, dude. Great.
That's all I've got.
I'm doing a spoopy paranormal podcast at 4:30 in the morning. I've lost control of my life.
In your parents' house.
Yep.
On Silent Hill in the middle of a thunderstorm.
Oh fuck! It's actually past now. I did end up moving rooms, but yeah, fuck.
Still, right on, guys. All right, well, we'll see you next time here on the Paranormies.